In this example, we want to graph the function f of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. And we want to do this using the vertex formula and intercepts. So there's some basic steps for this. First, we determine whether or not it opens up or down. And we do that using this leading coefficient here, this a term. And if it's positive, it opens up. If it's negative, it opens down. Well, there's nothing there at all, which means there's a hidden 1. So this is positive, opens up. Okay, so there's that bit of information. Next, let's do the vertex. Okay, the vertex formula gives us the x value with negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2a. Well, this is a, this is b, this is c, but we don't need c. So negative b over 2 times 1, well, that's negative 1. Okay. Then for y, we simply plug in this value back into f of x, so f of negative 1. So that's negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 minus 3. So that's 1 minus 2 minus 3, so how about negative 4? We can put those two together to get a single vertex of negative 1, negative 4. Right, a nice ordered pair. And let's go ahead and graph that already. There we go. We're already 1 point down in graphing this thing. Next, we get our x-intercepts. And to do that, remember to get the x-intercepts, you set the opposite variable equal to 0. So we're going to set y equal to 0. So you can always think of this as y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. And then that y becomes 0. So we have 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. Well, how do we solve for that? Well, we factor. 0 equals, this factors quite nicely, really. We have x and x. How about plus 3 minus 1, which gives us our nice x-intercepts here. X equals 1 and negative 3. Okay, so there's 2 more points. 1 and negative 3. The last thing we need is our y-intercept here. And I'm just going off of these, this kind of guidelines up here. The y-intercept, so for x-intercepts, we set the whole thing equal to 0, solve for x. Y-intercepts, we plug in 0 for x. You just plug in, you set the opposite variable equal to 0. So here, we're going to plug in 0 for x. If we do that, right, notice that our x squared cancels out, our 2x cancels out, and we're left with negative 3. So right here, and it's always going to be this way. The constant term is the y-intercept, always. Right, so just take the term without the x in it, or you could think of it as plugging in 0 for each x, but that's kind of more mental energy than you need to put in. Just grab the constant term, that's automatically your y-intercept. So it's going to be y equals negative 3, or if you're feeling super fancy, you can write this as an ordered pair, 0, negative 3. Okay, that ought to be enough to graph it. There we go, and you can see the parabola starting to come into shape here. So let's just finish it out. We have our vertex, we'll go up from there. Something like this. And the other side. Hopefully yours looks a little better than mine. But note that this should be really nice and symmetric. You could draw a nice kind of dotted line. We call this the Axis of Symmetry. Up and down from here, right there, that goes right through the vertex. And it should be perfectly symmetric on either side of this line. So if you were to fold it in half over that line, it would line up perfectly. So you really want to see that symmetry across your vertex. So both sides should be identical reflections of each other.